I was a good wife. I was a good wife. I was a great wife. I was the best wife. It's been 6 months. It's been 6 months since my second husband chose my 28-year-old daughter over me. It's been 6 months since my 28-year-old daughter chose my second husband over me. It's been 6 months since I've been exiled into living in a camper in a campground alone, while my family just moves on with their life like I never existed. It's been a month and a half since those same two people got me put in a mental hospital for 7 days against my will for what they did to me. And I don't know how to move on with my life. It's the first thing I think about when I wake up. It's the last thing I think about when I go to bed. And it's the thing I think about every minute of every day in between all of those times when I can't manage to get myself out of bed. How do I move on with my life?
The first words her husband ever said to her about their finances, he whispered them in bed at midnight. He told her he was thinking about hurting himself. 12 months later, he and her grown 28-year-old daughter would coordinate to put her in a mental hospital. 3 hours from home. 7 full days. And neither one of them picked up the phone to check on her once. This is Maline. She is 52 years old. She built her dream home in Idaho with a $251,000 cash inheritance from her dying mama. She had 2 thriving businesses, a husband she loved and was, in her own words, the best wife a man could ask for. So how did she end up living in a 17-foot camper, divorced, locked out of her own child's house, and forcibly committed by the 2 people she trusted most? Pull up. Because what you are about to hear is one of the cleanest cases of family triangulation this channel has ever covered. The comments are at war over who to believe, and Maline is about to tell every last piece of it herself. Starting right here.
I guess this will be story time part 1. I am going to preface this video by telling you that I'm going to reveal some embarrassing information that happened to me, and everything that I'm about to tell you is my experience. This is what happened to me. So I'm going to start at the beginning, and that's why this is going to be a long video, because this is a year that this went on. So we have to go all the way back to June, July of 2024. My husband and I were laying in bed one night, and he just out of the blue said to me, I'm worried that I'm going to hurt myself because I'm crumbling under the financial pressure of this relationship. And I said, what do you mean? He paid all the bills. I had my own business, and all the money that I made went into buying groceries and to growing my business, okay? He paid all the bills, so we had separate bank accounts. We lived in a home together that we purchased with my mom. She put in $251,000 cash as a down payment on our home. We put in like $38,000, I think, when we bought it together. When my mom passed away, I inherited her portion of our home. Okay, so I just want to preface that in this video. So we're laying in bed. He tells me this. He tells me that we're in debt. And he's maxed out all of our credit cards, and he's maxed out our home equity line of credit, which was $50,000. And I had no idea what he had maxed out the home equity line of credit, because like I said, we had separate bank accounts, all the bills were in his name, so he took care of all the financial stuff. All my money went towards my business and home expenses as far as things around the house. So I'm mortified. I don't know how to fix the situation. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm not mad about the money. I'm thinking, how can I fix this? How can I save my husband if he's thinking about hurting himself? So fast forward to August, and I get a phone call from my daughter, and she asks me if I'll fly out to Virginia. We were living in Idaho at the time. if I would fly out to Virginia to help paint her house. She had acquired a home from her dad when he passed away, and it got picked up on a television show. And they were doing a 30-minute series on her home, the renovation of it. It's on the Magnolia Network. They had a deadline. She called me up and she said, would you come out and paint? I need help painting. We're not going to get the house done in time for the taping. Please, will you come out and help me? So the next day I got on a plane and I flew to Virginia, and for 2 weeks I stayed at my daughter's house and I painted the whole entire home. 3 floors, doors, all the stuff, trim, like everything that they needed me to do. On the day that they were taping the show, I was still painting. Like, I was painting from 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night some days. Just me by myself. So I save the day, we do the taping. While I'm there, I'm telling my daughter about what my husband had shared with me about the money and how he's concerned about harming himself. Well, she had just acquired this house, and this huge house. Now she's got a mortgage payment. So she says, why don't you guys come live with me and my boyfriend? They were living in the house together. Why don't you come live with us, and I can get your husband a job at the place where I work, and you guys can live with us for a little while, pay off your debt, and then you can buy a house here or whatever. Well, I wanted to do that. That sounded like an amazing idea. And so I went home, I talked to my husband about it, and he was like, no, absolutely not at first. So then I convinced him to, at least talk to the guy, talk to the owner of the company. So he talks to the owner of the company. Okay, and the company is a home construction company, and there's 4 employees at this place, and my daughter's one of the employees. Okay, so it's super small. And oh, by the way, I want to preface this video by letting you know that while we were living in Idaho, and for 7 years that we were living there, my husband worked for my brother's company. That's been in my family my whole life. My grandfather started it. So he was working for my family business when we left, moved to Virginia, and started staying with my daughter. So he takes the job interview on a Thursday. And on Friday, the guy offers him the job. On Sunday, he's on a plane to Virginia to stay with my daughter and to start his new job. I stay behind in Idaho for 8 weeks to sell all of our home, to put it on the market, to show it, to pack all of our everything up. Meanwhile, I'm still running my businesses. I have an art studio, I teach online, and I had a dog sitting business. So I was taking care of both my businesses, trying to wrap up our home and everything, while he just picked up, went and started his new job, and began living with my daughter and her boyfriend. So they're working at the same company, okay? So for 8 weeks, I'm just living my life out in Idaho, like, thinking I'm getting ready to sell my dream home. I'm going to live with my daughter. We're going to travel. We're going to get to spend time with my kids. It's going to be amazing. And I'm so excited. So I get there, 8 weeks I spend packing up everything. His new job is going great, apparently, and I'm just super happy to get there. So I drive myself all the way across the U.S., pulling a U-Haul, me and my dog, with half of our stuff, and I leave the other half in our garage in Idaho. So I get there, and I've been on the road for 4 days, mind you, okay? And they've known I'm coming for 2 weeks. And I get there with a tiny little U-Haul, expecting them to have a room cleared out for me to unpack my office so I can get to work. And they haven't even cleaned the room out. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to leave the stuff in the U-Haul till however long. Like, I've just driven cross country. I'm exhausted. They acted like they weren't even happy that I was there. So I argued with my daughter for 3 days about unpacking my stuff. And she's like, you need to paint that room before you can move in. I want this room painted and cleaned up before you move in your stuff. So I was like, okay. So I end up leaving all my stuff in the U-Haul. Basically, I unpack some stuff in around her house, and I'm forced to have to now paint this office before I can set up my stuff to work. Well, right out of the gate, things are weird. I'm being given the silent treatment. I can tell there's like this hostility from my daughter towards me. She's upset that I'm smoking cannabis, which is ridiculous because she smokes it and so does her boyfriend. The few times that she would talk to me, it would always be to complain either about something I was doing in the house, cleaning the floors wrong, using the wrong cleaning products, or something her boyfriend was doing. She hated that he lived there. She wished she could kick him out, but she needed his money because she got this giant house and now she's got like a $2,000 a month mortgage payment. She can't afford the house by herself. That's why we kind of were like, we can help her out, she can help us out. Anyway, she constantly complained about her boyfriend because he drank too much. She hated that he drank. They were constantly fighting about the fact that he was drinking. Well, he hated his life because she was miserable to him. She didn't love him. She didn't want him there, but she knew she couldn't afford it without his money. So I'm going to go to part 2. Okay, so this is the part 2. So we are in roughly December. Christmas was lovely. My son, who is an adult, also came over, spent Christmas with us. It was amazing. Then in January, we got a phone call that our house in Idaho, while it was on the market, flooded. It had a flood, and before the realtor found out what was going on, they pumped out something like 55,000 gallons of water out of our house. It was a complete nightmare, and we were trying to deal with that from Virginia in Idaho. And my husband is a construction project manager. My ex-husband was. And he told me not to worry about anything. He would take care of all of the things that were involved with that. So fast forward to February, and my daughter still is just really hostile towards me. My husband is starting to become distant. They are constantly just like at the dinner table laughing with each other, but if I try to get in on the conversation, it was like you could immediately tell that I wasn't welcome in it. They were always talking about their job and laughing together, and it was like this real buddy club, but I wasn't included. So I had been asking my husband several times to please stop talking to my daughter about our marriage. He was basically using her to confide in for all of our problems, and because she had issues with me and wanted me to do things that I refused to do for her. As far as my life goes, the two of them were at work during the day. They were texting each other. Then they were at work together during the day, could be talking about planning. Come to find out, they've been for months before I even knew about this. I found out about this after the fact, that both of them had been smearing my name to my family, to my father, to my brothers, to my best friend, to people around town, just telling them that I was lazy, that I refused to get a job, that I maxed out all of his credit cards and I got him in all this financial debt, and I'm addicted to drugs and all of this shit. The two of them were doing unbeknownst to me for months before I found out about it. So in February, I'm just going along with life thinking, okay, well, my marriage is stressful, but it's because we're living in this environment. I kept telling my husband, we need to get out of here. We need to find a place to live. We were living on a tiny little island. There was no housing. Everything that we looked at, he kept telling me, no, we were looking at houses. This whole time we were looking at houses. And then at Christmas time, I have to back this one little step up, because at Christmas time, we got into a huge fight going to the airport to pick up his son, who was coming to stay with us for Christmas. And on the way there, I told my husband that if he didn't stop speaking to my daughter about our marriage, that I was going to get a divorce. I was setting a hard boundary, and he told me in the car that day that he would not stop speaking to my daughter about our relationship. He got out of the car, went into the airport. I stayed in the car because I was so mad at him. He immediately called my daughter on the phone and told her that I just threatened him with divorce. The two of them were talking about it, whatever happened. I made the decision right then and there that, I still was giving him chances, even though I told him the boundary was set, which was on me. So of course this behavior is going to continue. So February rolls around, and the two of them have to go on a 5-day work trip to Las Vegas. And her boyfriend and I stay behind at the house, and for 5 days, the two of them go with their boss and, a couple other people to this convention in Las Vegas. And when they come home from that trip, my daughter is refusing to speak to me. Will not speak one word to me. She comes home from the airport with him, walks in, doesn't even say hello to me. I was washing the dishes. I'll never forget it. She walked right by me, went upstairs, didn't say anything to me, and then just went on a silent treatment. Like from here on out. This is in February. By March, she still isn't speaking to me, and I can't understand why. My husband is growing extremely distant. He's siding with her. He's telling me that I need to just conform, just do what she wants, so she'll stop treating you this way. There was nothing I was going to do that was ever going to satisfy her and start treating me right. So I tell him I'm going to go back to Idaho and I'm going to stay at our house for a couple weeks because they're doing all the renovation from the flood and everything. And we got an offer on our house and we were supposed to close on April 24th. And I'm going to go back to the house for 2 weeks. It's too stressful living in this environment. I'll sleep on a mattress on the floor and make sure my house is ready for the new homeowners when the time comes. You can fly out to Idaho a couple days before we get ready to close, sign the paperwork, and then we'll get our stuff and drive back to Virginia. So in the meantime, I've got a realtor. We're looking at homes. We're looking to buy property. And my husband and I are going and looking at these different houses. And he's telling me he really wants to build because he works for a custom home builder. So then we started looking for property. And so we're doing this like every single day. So he's been at his job long enough now to have health insurance, okay? So he gets health insurance and he tells me he's going to call and get an appointment because he needs to get a checkup. He's going to be 57. He needs to get a checkup and a new doctor. So I'm like, okay, great. So he calls, makes an appointment. They do all the testing, whatever. And then I guess like a couple days later, I get a text message on my phone and it's from the pharmacy in town. And it says my husband's name and it says you have a prescription ready. And I've worked in pharmacy my whole life, so I know how pharmacies operate. When I was at my daughter's house in August, I got some migraine medication filled at that pharmacy. And I guess when they got the prescription for him, they had my phone number. So they put my phone number in as his phone number. So I got the text notification that he had a prescription ready. So when I got home that day, I said, hey, I got a text that you had a prescription ready. And I said, I thought you said that everything went great and that you didn't need any testing or whatever. And he's like, oh, well, I don't know what they called in for me. And I said, what do you mean they don't know what they called in for you? That's not how it works. The doctor asks you if you want a prescription. They ask you what pharmacy you use. They ask you if you know the phone number. They tell you they're going to fax the prescription over, they're going to call it in or email it or whatever, and then they let you know that it's going to be at the pharmacy ready for you to pick up. So what do you mean you don't know he called something in for you? And he goes, well, I don't know. I'll have to call and find out. I'll have to call the pharmacy. And I said, okay. So, I waited for like a day. And then the next day I said to him, I said, hey, what did you call the pharmacy and figure out what was going on? And he goes, yeah, it turns out he called in a little blue pill prescription for my husband. And I said, why did he do that? Because we hadn't been having sex for like 6 months because we were living in my daughter's house. And I said, who is that for? What do you mean you've never had a problem with that before? What is this? And he goes, oh, well, I did ask for it because I just got it. I got it to make me feel better. I said, to make you feel better with who? Because you're not sleeping with me. So who is the prescription for? Husband? At this point, I point blank asked him if there was something going on between him and my daughter. Because she wanted her boyfriend out. They're working at the same company. They're going to work together at the same place. They're taking trips together. She's not speaking to me. He's not speaking to me. He's telling me he's refusing to stop involving my daughter, who's 28, and not his child, in our marriage while we're living in her house. And so, of course, everything that they're communicating, I'm the bad guy in the situation. So she's taking it all out on me. Pretty soon the two of them are just feeding off of each other. And then her poor boyfriend, he doesn't know what to do. I can tell that he feels so sorry for me, but he can't stop it. So it's like all these miserable people living in this house, you know. So I'm like, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. Now this is going to go to a part 3. All right, so here we go with part 3. So at this point, it's March, and I'm ready to bounce. I've got to get out of this toxic environment. I'm going to go back to my house and make sure everything is copacetic with my home and sale of my property. So I drive myself back to Idaho, stay there for 2 weeks, getting all my stuff ready. Meanwhile, I'm thinking that my husband and I are going to buy some property. We're going to start building a home. I am still like hoping that my marriage is going to survive this move and the situation with my daughter. And I'm thinking that maybe I can salvage my marriage if I get out from under her roof, okay? And just get back to focusing on me and my husband. So I get back to Idaho. I'm doing all this stuff with my house. I'm making sure that my brother's company is doing all the things that they're supposed to be doing and that my house is prepared and ready for the new owners. And so 4 days before we're supposed to close on my house, my husband flies into Boise, and I go to pick him up at the airport. And it was like 1:30 in the morning when his flight arrives. And I am so happy to see him. I'm so excited to see him because I'm like, oh my God, I finally have my husband here without my daughter around. We're going to be in our house. We can finally have some alone time. And so we get back home. Of course, we're like intimate because we haven't seen each other for 2 weeks. Plus, we hadn't been being intimate because we were living with her. And so then the next day we get up, we're doing all the things. We go do some shopping. We have some lunch. We go to dinner. We're talking to the realtor about property. And then I'm thinking, okay, I can save this. I can save this marriage, right? Things are looking good. That night, second night, we're intimate again. We're really like, things are going really great. And then third night, we intimate again. We're getting ready to go to sleep. We got to wake up in the morning to go sign the closing on our house at noon at the title company. And so I think it was a Friday or a Thursday. I can't remember. But anyway, so and mind you, that night before that, I had been talking to the realtor. She sent me another home listing that she thought we might like. So then the next morning, the morning of the closing, it's like 6:15 and my husband and I are laying in bed, and I woke up and I felt him like staring at me. And I woke up and I like went like this, you know, because he was like literally up on his fist like this, laying in bed, just looking at me. And I said, what are you doing? What's going on? What's wrong? You know, why are you just staring at me? And he goes, do you remember when we first started dating, how we used to just lay on the chase and we would cuddle and stuff? Wasn't that just the best time? And I said, yeah, that was a pretty amazing time. He goes, I wish we could go back to that. And I said, yeah, well, you know, we can't. We're older. It's been almost 10 years since that, you know. So then he looks at me and he goes, I have to tell you something. And you mind you, it's 6:15 in the morning. And I said, what? And he goes, I talked to a lawyer. And I said, about what? And he said, a divorce. And I said, what do you mean? We had just been looking at houses. We'd just been intimate for 2 or whatever, 3 nights. Like, you were just telling me how amazing that everything was going to be. And I just looked right at him and I said, have you told my daughter this? And he didn't answer me. And I said, did you tell my daughter that you saw a lawyer? And he said yes. He told my daughter several weeks before that he had got an attorney about a divorce. And so yeah, she knew about it before I did. And I still didn't know the extent of their relationship, and I still don't. And I'm never going to say that something sexual happened because I can't prove that. All I know is what happened to me and what it looks like. Whether they had a sexual relationship or not, they had an emotional relationship. They worked together to smear me, to ruin me, to isolate me, to triangulate me, to smear my name. Not only to my friends and family, but to my clients, to people around town. They ruined my ability to work. They got me put in a mental hospital when I started telling my story. And every single thing that they said to the authorities was based off of my TikTok videos. It wasn't based off any interaction with me whatsoever. So no, I don't know if they were sexual with each other. And I'll never know that. And I never want to know that. But you better know right now that there isn't a day that goes by that thought isn't in my head. Not one. You believe her? Good. Go do that. Guess what? She has a platform. You should go to her platform and you should ask her for her side of the story. You should ask her to tell her side of the story. And he has a platform too. One dedicated to being the ex-husband of a covert narcissist, where all he does is post videos about living with a narcissistic partner. So, you want to believe my daughter? You feel free to do that all day long and all night. Meanwhile, I'll be over here living my existence because after I woke up with the realization that my husband wants a divorce, I also realized that I have to drive 4 days back to Virginia with this man because I don't have anywhere to live. And all my things, half my things are in Virginia. He apparently had found us an apartment that we were going to move into when we got back there. So I'm in my mind ready to drive back to Virginia to still continue to try to make this marriage work with this man. We get to Nebraska. We're driving separate cars because we had to pull a car and we had a U-Haul, and then I had, my truck. I had to drive my truck back. So we had to drive separate, thank God, or there's no way I would have survived that. But we get to Nebraska, and I had an absolute nervous breakdown because I realized halfway back there that there's no way my marriage is going to survive this. And I pulled over in the gas station, and I cried for 4 hours in the parking lot while he sat in the car behind me on his phone. He couldn't even be bothered to come in and talk about it, to tell me what was going on, to tell me why he wanted a divorce, to tell me what was going on with my daughter, to tell me why he refused to stop having a relationship with my daughter, to stop communicating with my daughter about me and my marriage, to stop trying to ruin my name with my daughter to my friends and my family. I was still willing to try to make it work with this man. Can you believe this shit? So we get back to Virginia. My daughter was in Louisiana. She'd flown down for her friend's graduation, so she wasn't there the day that we got back. We got back on a Monday, I think. And he and I were moving our stuff out of her place into an apartment 1 block away. And it was taking forever because we were doing it by hand because we were walking everything back and forth. And now I have to go to a part 4. So part 4... when my daughter finally does come back, we're walking back and forth to get our things, and I get to her house to go up and get another box out of my office, and she's standing at the door. And she slams the door, comes outside, and asks me, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm getting my things out of your house. It's obvious you don't want me here. My husband and I are going to go move into this apartment, and, you can rent out your room to whoever, whatever." She goes, "You're not coming in my house. You're not welcome in my house." I mean, there was nothing I could do. We'd been living there. She refused to give me a lease to prove that we were legal residents. We couldn't get driver's licenses or bank accounts because we weren't legal residents there. She never even gave us a key to her house. So basically, she held all my things hostage and locked me out. And the last thing I said to her was, "You'll regret this." And I walked off. And I've never spoken to her since. She held all of my things hostage. She told me that the only person who could come in and get my business things, my art supplies, my whole business studio was my husband. He could come in. He could come in and get my things, but I couldn't. So, on top of him working a full 60-hour-a-week job, now it's his responsibility to take care of my business because she's going to decide what our life looks like. So I go back to the apartment. I'm telling myself we're going to live in this little 900 square foot cockroach infested apartment after we just sold a $500,000 house back in Idaho. This is what's happened. My daughter and my husband have created this giant monster of hate, and neither one of them can get away from it. So 2 days in the apartment with my husband, I said, "I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to be with you anymore. You got an attorney, you saw an attorney, call the attorney and tell them to go ahead and send me the paperwork. We'll split the proceeds of the sale of our house," which we did. The real estate company gave us each half of a check for $155,000 each. I didn't at that time even know the extent. I found all this out after. At the time when I signed the paperwork and we split the money, I didn't know any of this. I found out so many things about my husband since we split the money that I can't even talk to you guys about. I tell my husband that I'm going to take our little 17-foot camper and our Toyota Tacoma. Both things were in his name, but we were married, so they were considered marital property. He had a work truck, so he told me I could take the one truck that we had and the camper, and I was going to go live in the camper on the campground because there was no housing to speak of. I still didn't have steady income. We had just moved there. I'm self-employed. I couldn't have rented a place if I wanted to financially at that time. So I take the truck and I take the camper and we take it over to the campground. He helps me get it all set up. We both agree that this marriage isn't working. We're going to go our separate ways. It was very amicable. I decided I was going to buy my own truck and trailer because I needed something bigger for me. So I went and did that. I returned his truck and trailer to him with a very nice note with the keys telling him where his things were parked and that I hope he finds what he's looking for, and I wish him the best. And I lived in this camper, the first one, when I started this journey. We're recording it with you guys. It was around my birthday, May 27th. Still to this day, it's been almost a year. The end of this month will be a year. My daughter has not reached out to me one time, has never spoken to me. In fact, started trolling me and harassing me and stalking me on my TikTok videos, which I have proof of. And then, so I signed up for a wellness retreat in Oregon in July. From May to July, I sat in this camper and cried myself to sleep every fucking night because neither one of the two of them reached out to me, which to me, all it did was cement what I was feeling inside. And oh, by the way, the second night or whatever after I was living in the camper, we had an agreement set up with our animals, and I went to return my animals to his apartment, and he wasn't home, but he was at my daughter's house. So even though I had moved out, we were getting a divorce, he was still communicating and having a relationship with her. So I just washed my hands of it and said, well, I guess this is what it's going to be. I'm going to get a divorce. I don't know what's going to happen with them. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. I don't care. I don't want to know about it. I already have bad nightmares and visions in my mind of what I envision went on, but I'll never be able to prove it. Or maybe one day I'll find out. I don't know. So, fast forward to July, and I decided I was going to leave my camper in Virginia, and I was going to drive to Oregon to the wellness retreat, and then I was going to spend the summer going to all the places on my bucket list to try to heal from this. And I did that alone. For 9 weeks, I slept in the back of my truck, and I drove through 17 states and put 7,000 miles on my truck and did my best to forget the both of them. And then when I got back to Virginia to sign my paperwork, I had to go over to my storage unit where all my things were from our life together and clean it out, because he left me with that responsibility. As men do. They just pick up and go start a new life somewhere and leave you to clean up their bullshit. And when I got in that storage unit, I was so angry when I started looking at all the family pictures. All the years that I wasted on a man who did nothing but lie to me and ruin my relationship with everybody that I care about, including my children. And I destroyed everything in that storage unit. And I recorded it and I made a TikTok video. And my daughter, believe it or not, was the first one to call the police. Because, see, she'd been stalking me. You know, they'd both been viewing my videos all summer. So she was the first one to call the police, and then he called the police. And then the police showed up at my camper to tell me that they were arresting me. And, but they weren't going to take me to jail because it was a civil matter, not a criminal matter. And the sheriff told me that he urged my husband not to press charges because the case would get thrown out, but he didn't care. He wanted me arrested. So the police showed up at my camper that night at I don't even know what time it was, 9 o'clock or something, and told me that they weren't going to arrest me, that they were going to, that I needed to show up for court, which I said, okay, great. And then I made a TikTok video about how I didn't get arrested. And when I did that, my husband and my daughter decided that it'd be fun to go to the magistrate's office and complain and file a complaint that I'm a danger to myself and to society and to them, and that they think I need a mental health evaluation. That was at 10:30 at night. So the next day, it was a Thursday afternoon, I'm sitting in my camper just minding my own business. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a knock at the door, and it's 2 sheriffs. And they tell me that they're here to take me to the hospital for a mental health evaluation, and that if I don't go with them, I'm going to go to jail. So now I'm close to a part 5, which I can't even believe this, but this is the story, you guys. I mean, and I still have 8 months to go of shit to tell you after the mental hospital. But this is the last 12 months of my life. I mean, it's going to be a Netflix movie, okay? It just is. So I just got home and had a horrific day. And I realized today that I have allowed these 2 people to pull me right back into their games. And they are waiting for me to reveal what I have because they're fucking scared. They are absolutely terrified right now because they don't know what I have, and I'm going to keep it that way. I came to the realization tonight that I have, for the last 5 days, listened to people call me horrible names. Bad mother, bad wife. I've had people tell me that this is my fault and that I'm crazy and I deserve this somehow. Which is fine, you know. I've given so much information already, you know. I've given so much information already, and I don't need to sit here and listen to people tell me that I'm fucking crazy when I've given you so much already. I am fully prepared to go forward with my civil lawsuit against these 2 people the state of Virginia, everybody who touched this fucking case. And I was just sitting here going through all of the paperwork again. And I will share one thing with you. Both my husband's name and my daughter's name is on this form. Reason for referral. Maline was served an ECO after she was posting multiple videos depicting her decompensating behavior. Maline was seen destroying marital property inside of a storage unit on TikTok. Every single thing that they talk about in these forms are my TikTok videos. They're not for being in any kind of communication with me. My daughter specifically said right here that I have a history of bipolar disorder, which is not true. And the fact that they took my daughter's advice, who's a 28-year-old adult, without having any medical history on me whatsoever is absolutely mind-boggling. History of treatment with psychiatric medication? No. In a state hospital? No. In a crisis stabilization unit? No. On no medications, no health issues, only asthma. Is there a prior episode of psychosis? No. Is the person showing symptoms of psychosis? No. Maline is a newly divorced 52-year-old Caucasian female who looks her stated age. She was brought in under an ECO today after her ex-husband and her daughter expressed concern for her safety. Maline has been posting numerous videos on social media depicting a spiraling of her mental state in the last several weeks. Maline has been estranged from her daughter for several months, per the daughter's report, due to Maline's erratic and sometimes violent behavior. Ma'am, are you fucking for real right now, daughter? Be so fucking for real. Her daughter alerted Maline's ex-husband last night that Maline had gone into a shared storage unit and had smashed many of his belongings, all while recording it for TikTok. Maline states that her ex-husband told her he wanted to divorce her. She then bought herself an RV and drove across the country in hopes of changing his mind. Once here, she signed the papers and then proceeded to destroy his things. The videos depict manic and depressive behavior as Maline has gained quite a following. Many of her followers are cheering her on as she rediscovers herself. This was my most favorite part, though, and I just discovered this tonight. Right here on the notification sheet, where the family who calls in this mental health evaluation request, attempt to obtain person's agreement or objection to legally required notifications. Daughter will be contacted with information directly relevant to their involvement with the person's health care, including their location and general condition. And guess what? My daughter objected. She objected to the hospital letting her know where they were taking me. She objected to being notified of any kind of treatment. She fucking objected. So let's get mom locked up in the mental hospital, because she started telling what we're trying to keep secret. Guess what, sweetie? Those fucking days are over. This right here that you did to me ruined my life. Do you understand? You've caused me long-term PTSD. You've caused this to be on my permanent record. You made lies about me, about my mental capacity. You claimed that you were worried about my safety with my husband. Both of you so worried about my safety, but yet you refused to be notified of anything. And neither one of you liars had the fucking balls to call the facility that I was in to check on me while I was there for 7 days, to fucking come and pick me up. You know how I got home from the mental hospital that was 3 hours from my house? I had to wait for hospital transportation. My family, who was so worried about my safety, just had to get me evaluated, so concerned that I'm going to harm myself. Well, they got me locked up and then they bounced. So that's all I'm going to tell you guys. And, you know, I don't know when I'm going to make another video because I don't have to justify shit to anybody on this app. I know what I went through. I know what was done to me. And I have fucking proof right here. So I hope you're ready for court on Monday, husband. I can't wait to see your face. Well. I was going to post part 5 this morning, but I woke up to a whole bunch of screenshots that my daughter and my ex-husband are posting about this story because they can't hide the secret anymore. So, I mean, I knew they were going to talk, but I had no idea that they were going to bury themselves into a hole that they're never going to get out of. In their own words, they typed these things out and posted them on the internet. And what's really wild to me is this whole experience, this whole year, I have been creating these videos, talking about my divorce, but never really saying the whole story because of the fact that my daughter's involved and I didn't really know how to handle it. You guys, I got a lot of questions about the $251,000 down payment on the house, so let me just really quickly tell you about that. I am going to re-record part 5 about the mental hospital and what happened from that. But if you guys want to watch that, there's a whole playlist under arrest and mental hospital, and you can see exactly what happened during that mental hospital situation. It's at the top of my page. But my mom got COVID in 2020 when it very first came out, and she never recovered. And she came to visit me, got COVID, and ended up never going back home because she was too sick. She sold her house in Utah that was paid for. She got $251,000 from the sale of her house. And she gave me all of that money to put down on the house that the 3 of us bought together. And it was the house that she wanted too. And she was putting down the majority of the money because I had to take care of her. I stayed at home and took care of my mom. I was her nurse for 9 months in our house. He worked every day. He wasn't close with my mom. He wasn't home with my mom every day. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. My mom would absolutely lose her shit, and she is losing her shit in the spirit world, knowing that this man took my inheritance. So when we sold the house and he told me he wanted a divorce that morning, I had no other choice but to have the real estate company split the profits, because otherwise the check was going to go to him for the whole amount and I was going to have to fight him in divorce court. So I agreed to give him half of the proceeds of the house, which was $155,000 each. The agreement was he was going to pay off the credit card debt. We had to pay off the home equity line of credit of $50,000, so that came out of my inheritance too. And I have no fucking idea what he charged on that. And I still don't, because the bank refuses to give me access to the fucking account. And that's by design. He did that on purpose. I signed on the co-signed on the home equity line of credit. So I had every right to access that account. And I went to the bank several times when I was there in November trying to get access to the records. They wouldn't give them to me. So my mom put down all the money she had to buy a home with her daughter because she knew that I was going to take care of her until the day she died. And that's exactly what I did. And my mom made sure that the portion of the money from the house that she put in was my inheritance. We paid $5,000 or $2,000, something like that, to get an estate attorney to change all the paperwork to make sure that the $251,000 portion was mine. And in Virginia, inheritance property is not separate marital property, but it is in Idaho. And that's why he pushed my divorce through in Virginia, because he knew that if I divorced him in Idaho, he'd have to give me that fucking money back. And so he is going to give me that money back in the form of a civil lawsuit. And who knows how much money she's going to have to pay me, because I can prove organized stalking for my daughter. And yes, I have the receipts. So I'm going to let them continue to tell all of their things. You guys keep sending me the screenshots, because it's really just adding fuel to an already huge bonfire. And the thing that's crazy is they have no idea what I know. They have zero idea what I know. And the crazy thing is there's a whole bunch of people involved in this. Whole bunch of people with their dirty little fingers who took money, who did things that they shouldn't have been doing. So part 5 story time, I guess I will re-record later so that I can address all of the things that they've been saying about me in their videos. Or maybe I won't. I'll just tell the story of what happened to me, because that's what I've been doing this whole time. And it's wild because I have them both blocked. You know, people are tagging them in the comments. People are sending the screenshots. I don't search them out. I don't try to go see what they're saying, because I don't fucking care. I know my truth. I know what happened to me. And I know who did it. And so you guys aren't going to shut me up, unfortunately. I'm going to keep fighting the bully group and try to finish this story off this afternoon. I appreciate you guys being here. And if you have more questions, let me know. Oh, really quickly, one last thing about the money, because this is another question that came up a lot. I blew my half. I love that. I had to move into a camper that didn't belong to me on name on paperwork. His truck was in his name, but any moment he could have come and taken the camper, taken the truck from me, and I wouldn't have been able to do a thing about it. And oh, by the way, he did that to me frequently. When he would get mad at me, he would take the keys to the only truck that we had, which wouldn't allow me to go do my job during the day. So I took my half, the $155,000, and I went and bought a $50,000 RV to live in and a $50,000 truck to pull it. I don't have a truck payment. I don't have a house payment. And that's how I've been living. And I love it. The rest of the money I used to live my best life, because I deserve it. I took my money and I went cross country and I did all the things, because guess what? I could not be here tomorrow. So what's the purpose in holding on to all that money? And all of you people out there saying that I don't work and I beg for donations, that's ridiculous. I have a job, but I'm not going to tell you fuckers about it, because they're out here stalking me, trying to find out every single thing about my life so they can destroy it. I made that mistake already, and I'll never do that again. So anyway, hope you guys have the best day, and sorry I talk so slow and this is a long story, but you know, if you don't want to be here, there's the door, use it. Okay? I'm not making these videos for you. I'm making them for me. Oh, and husband and daughter, please keep talking. Please keep talking.
Now let's sit with what we just watched. A husband and a 28-year-old daughter, working at the same 4-person company, riding to work together every morning, flying to Vegas together, freezing the wife out at her own dinner table, smearing her name to her own father, her own brothers, her best friend, people around town. Daughter knew about the divorce attorney before the wife did. Husband walked into a pharmacy and walked out with a prescription for a wife he had not touched in 6 months. The two of them coordinated a forced mental health evaluation based on her own TikToks. And then the daughter checked the box on the official intake form to not be notified of her own mama's location, condition, or treatment. Filed the complaint and unsubscribed from the receipt. Now we are not going to tell you these two were sleeping together. Maline does not claim it. Her lawyer almost certainly told her not to claim it. So we won't either. We are simply going to lay the dots out exactly where we found them, and you can do whatever you want with a connect the dots puzzle that has its own zip code. Here is what we will say. This is one of the most textbook cases of family triangulation we have ever covered on this channel. The pattern is almost too clean. The financial bomb dropped right next to the self-harm threat, so the wife cannot ask hard questions. The relocation under the banner of family helping family. The slow isolation. The smear campaign the wife only finds out about after the damage is done. The divorce engineered specifically through Virginia because Idaho would have made him return her inheritance. And finally, when she starts telling people what happened, the institutionalization. That last move keeps showing up in messy divorces aimed at women, and we want y'all to remember what it looks like. Now to the comments. We read them all. To the people calling her a liar. The husband has his own TikTok, where he posts daily about being married to a so-called covert narcissist. He has had a full year to drop one screenshot, one receipt, one bank statement that contradicts her version of events. Where is it? Take your time, sir. We'll wait. To the people holding out for the daughter's boyfriend to come forward. Same. He lived in that house. He saw what we saw. He sat at that dinner table. If he ever decides to talk, our doors are open. To the people saying the storage unit was a step too far, we hear you. We also see a woman who painted 3 floors of her daughter's house for free, drove a U-Haul across America alone, sold her dream home, lost her marriage, lost her child, and got dragged out of a camper by 2 sheriffs over a TikTok. Some of y'all would have done worse than smash a few picture frames. Be honest with yourselves. And to Maline, if you happen to find this video, and we know you read every comment, keep talking, keep filing, keep the receipts. Your daughter checked the wrong box on the wrong form, and now the whole internet is a witness. Drop a comment and tell us, whose side are you on? What would you have done in that storage unit? And what is the most messed up thing a family member has ever pulled on you? You'll already know we are reading every word. We'll see you in the next one.